right, 41. I have been as brief in the exemplification of these matters as the nature would permit, for as if I wish to make known to any one a quantity of gold that was buried in separate heaps, it ought to be sufficient if I told him the signs and marks of the places, with the knowledge of which he might dig for himself and find what he wished with very little trouble and without any mistake. So I wish to specify such marks, as it were, of arguments as would let him who seeks them know where they are. What remains is to be brought out by industry and thought. What kind of arguments is most suitable to any particular kind of cause? It requires no exquisite skill to prescribe, but merely moderate capacity to determine. For it is not now my design to set forth any system of rhetoric, but to communicate to men of eminent learning some hints drawn from my own experience. These commonplaces, therefore, being fixed in the mind of memory and called forth on every subject proposed to be discussed, there will be nothing that can escape the orator, not merely in matters litigated in the forum, but in any department of eloquence whatever. But if he shall attain such successes as to seem to be what he wish to seem, and to affect the minds of those before whom he pleads in such a manner as to lead or rather force them in whatever direction he pleases, he will assuredly require nothing else to render him accomplished in oratory. We now see that it is by no means sufficient to find out what to say unless we can handle it skillfully when we have found it. This treatment ought to be diversified, that he who listens may neither discover any artifice nor be tired and satiated with uniformity. Whatever you advance should be laid down as a proposition, and you should show why it is so. And from the same premises, you should sometimes form a conclusion and sometimes leave it to be formed by the hearer and make a transition to something else. Frequently, however, you need make no proposition, but show by the reasoning which you shall use what proposition might have been made. If you produce a comparison to anything, you should first confirm what you offer as a comparison, and then apply to it the point in question. In general, you should shade the distinctive points of your arguments so that none of your hearers may count them, and that while they appear clear as to matter, they seem blended in your mode of speaking on them. 42. I run over these matters cursorily as addressing men of learning and being myself but half learned, that we may at length arrive at matters of greater consequence. For there is nothing, Catullus, of more importance in speaking than that the hearer should be favorable to the speaker and be himself so strongly moved that he may be influenced more by impulse and excitement of mind than by judgment or reflection. For mankind make far more determinations through hatred or love or desire or anger or grief or joy or hope or fear or error or some other affection of mind than from regard to truth or any settled maxim or principle of right or judicial form or adherence to the laws. Unless anything else, therefore, be agreeable to you, let us proceed to consider these points. Hold on. There. That's what I was looking for. There seems, observed Catullus, to be still some little wanting to those matters which you have discussed, Antinous, something that requires to be explained before you proceed to what you propose. What is it? Asked Antonius. What order? Replied Catullus. And arrangement of arguments has your approbation, for in that department you always seem a god to me. You may see how much of a god I am in that respect, Catullus, rejoined Antonius. For it's not what it's Antonius. So I should call him Antonius? Antinous. I don't remember. For I assure you the matter would never have come into my thoughts if I had not been reminded of it, so that you may suppose I am generally led by mere practice in speaking, or rather perhaps by chance, to fix on that arrangement of matter by which I seem at times to produce some effect. However, That very point which I, because I had no thought of it, passed by as I should by a person unknown to me, is of such efficiency or in, no, it's not efficiency, efficacy, is it efficiency? It's not, it's efficacy, efficiency. Yeah. In oratory, that nothing is more conducive to victory, but yet you seem to me to have required from me prematurely an account of the order and disposition of the orator's material. For if I had replaced all his power in argumentation in proving his case from its own inherent merits, it might be time to say something on the order and arrangement of his arguments. But as 3 heads were specified by me, and I have spoken only one, it will be proper, after I have attended to the other 2, to consider last of all about the general arrangement of a speech.